Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, we'll this Bava Batra daf Lamed Vav. We are going to begin on Lamed Vav Amud Aleph, about 6 lines from the top. V'yom Rabbi Yehuda Haiman dinokit maglev tovlaya. A person who is holding on to this sickle, as we discussed previously. V'omer Ezel. I'm going to go in Igzra Wadikwa the Planya and cut down the date palm tree of such and such a person because the Zakimine, because he sold it to me, Mehimin. And we saw this before. Why is he believed? Because it wouldn't be logical that this person is just making this up. It must be that he really did, in fact, purchase it from him, because it wouldn't have the chutzpah to have made such a thing up and to just go into someone else's property. Yom Rabbi Yehuda Haiman de Achsik Meguda de Aroide Lavar. Let's say a person went and put up a wall. There's a wall and there's a bunch of wild animals on the outside. Lo havi chazaka. My time. Mema Amar called the Zaranami Aroide Achlile. If let's say he put some seeds on the outside, but they're eaten by animals, but not by him, this is not the normal way the person would go about doing this. Says the Rashbam, Chayois hasada shabois, you have these wild animals that come, V'ochos hazroim shibiksois hasada, and they start eating on the outskirts of the field. Yeshoishim kirois, some put a bunch of walls around the field, karka chutz lekir ma'at, and they put a little bit of earth outside, smuchas hayar, near the forest, umashlichin shamzera, and they put a bunch of seeds over there. Umashet sameach, whatever flourishes, bos chas oichasos, so the wild animals eat that. Deinu nichnasis b'sada achshav. So it's an interesting strategy by feeding them outside, so this way they're not going to come and eat on the inside. So this is not a chazaka. Says the Rashbam, enu chazaka do ichbasle l'bal hasada b'shnas arla l'klachel micha. Okay, so in this case, if a person claims that it's his, so the person is going to say no. It says the Rashbam, karka roide achlile, these animals are eating it. Well, ichbasle limchais, I didn't need to make a macha. After all, the loy achsik k'damaksi inshi. You're not acting in the way a normal owner would, because you didn't actually do anything to the field itself. And the fact that all you did was plant on the outside, that doesn't mean anything. And therefore, it's not considered to be a chazaka. V'yom Rabbi Yehuda achol arla eno chazaka. Tana mihachi achol arla shvias v'kilayim eno chazaka. Now, why not? If you can use a tree which was in the first 3 years, which of course is aser, eno chazaka do ichvos le l'bal sada mishnasa arla nekach lo micha. He can't use it, so why do I have to make a macha? And kol shekain, if all 3 of them, Arla, Kilayim, Achilasim, Be'isr, Shvias, Hefker, or Koil. So in all these cases, it's not a chazaka, because the fact that you were using my field during the Shemitah, I can't use it anyways. That's the reason why I didn't make a machas, therefore it doesn't count. Rabbi Yosef, Achla Shachas lo have a chazaka. Shachas, which is a third of its growth, which is for animal consumption, Machal Behemtai, it's not a chazaka. Why? Says the Rashbam, the Shamet v'achol, because it's plucked out fast. It's not eaten in a normal way of full growth. The fact that you're allowing to grow only a short amount of time, it's clear because it's not yours, and you're trying to just grab as much as you can, as fast as you can. So therefore, shachas doesn't count. However, if it's betzavar mechayza, says the Rashbam, Babikas Mechayza, in this valley, that's a chazaka fi shashirim heim, because they were wealthy there. Ubehemos lahem harbe, they have a lot of animals. V'darkem lahachal hasados ubehemos kashen shachas. That was the normal way that they would feed their animals in this way, and therefore that is the normal way of acting in that particular location. Amrav Nachman, tafticha lo have a chazaka. In an open field, it's not a chazaka. Says the Rashbam. Karka ptucha, an open field, umaleya b'koyim, it's filled with holes. There's no fruits that grow there. Chazaka. Also, because it's so poor, this land, why did I need to make a macha? Rabbi Chanano Pirish, he has a different interpretation. That tafticha stadish l'chara shaisa. It wasn't plowed. Ella hugmisha v'nashva haruach. The wind came. V'zarach hashemesh. The sun shone. V'nis baka kigayin piskei charisha v'zarba. Kigayin zeinu chazaka. So basically, he didn't do any of the plowing, but because of the wind, it caused all the earth to move around. So in that case, it's not a chazaka. Question 3. So again, my tafticha. So the two answers found in the Rashbam, either it's open land, which is filled with holes and it doesn't produce fruits, or it's a field which was not plowed, but rather it was rained upon. Wind came, the sun shone, and because of this, you were able to plant on this type of a field. So that's not considered to be a chazaka because a normal person would have plowed that field. Okay. Apik kura, v'ayil kura will have your chazaka. Let's say a kur, you put a kur worth into it, and you got a kur back, which basically means there was absolutely no profits. Then that's not a chazaka because you didn't make any money anyway. So that's why I didn't make a mechah, because you didn't gain anything. It's not like you stole anything from me because you didn't gain anything from this land. The hanid be reish galusa lo machsaki bain bon v'lo machsakinan behu. They can't make a chazaka, and also a person cannot make a chazaka from them. So why is this? This is going to be question TB21. The reason is lo machsakinan ba im hichsek echa mehem b'soyd yasayan eno chazaka b'sarach l'zahar b'shtaro shemach masirasa lo micha behem. So the fact is, if let's say they are the ones that are using this field, so it's not a chazaka because a person would just say, I'm too scared to make a macha because of the power of the Reish Galusa. And therefore, for that reason, the Reish Galusa cannot make a chazaka because the fact that a person didn't make a macha doesn't mean anything because they were scared. So they can't make a macha, but also the person who, let's say, would get land from the Reish Galusa, that also isn't the chazaka. Why? Shemitashin, Ashirin, because they're wealthy. V'yeshahen batim v'sados harbe menichem b'nei adam l'dor b'batem v'shaiskin u'sameichim kidei l'hashbiach karka shalahen v'gam limchais enu chayshishin lafi shebizro yitlo es shalahen kol zman shiyirtzu. So basically, what he's explaining is because they're so powerful, they know that they could always take it away. So even though the Reish Galusa doesn't make a macha, they know, okay, fine, you can stay in that land for 20 years. Eventually, when we want it back, we will take it back. So therefore, because of that, you do not have the ability to have a chazaka on them. So therefore, you always have to hold on to a star to prove that it's yours. Okay, let's see what I wrote for TB21. TB21 says as follows. Debei Reish Galusa hem chazak v'chol b'nei adam mefachdim mehem, they're afraid. V'lo rotza lasos macha b'shvil hacharada, because they're so afraid, no one made a macha. V'hem chayshvin b'shvil shehem chazkim, or they're strong, powerful. Hem yochel hachzik es akarka b'koil zman shehem rights, and they can take the land whenever they want. V'nachnu osrichim liyos macha. They don't need to make a macha on this land. Okay, weiter. So the Mishnah said, avadim ba'avadim. So you can, there's a cheskas avadim is a chazaka also on slaves. Avadim yeshem chazaka v'yemar yishachash ha'gardurus ein lehem chazaka. Anything which is a movable item, as it says, gardurus sayin b'chol davar ha'mahalach b'drachim, is no chazaka because the fact that you hold on to it, maybe it just traveled into your field. So therefore, how do we make a chazaka on this? So Rabbi ein lehem chazaka alter. If it comes into your field like an animal, or in this case an eved, it's not proof that it's yours. We don't say like hamos mechabaraya, it's considered like yours. But there still is after 3 years. Even though avadim it's 3 years, but if you're dealing with a child that can't move, so it's no longer under the category of gaidrus. And therefore, if you have a child who's mutal barisa, who obviously is not able to walk, so therefore it's a chazak immediately. It's pshita. The mother works there too. Maybe the mother brought the child. So fine, the child can't go himself, but the mother could have brought the child. Kamash Mulan, ima lo manche bra. Oh, mother's not going to forget her child, says the Rashbam. Maybe the mother brought her child. Ushachachte sham dahashta hainu gardus. Says no, mother's not going to forget her child. Hanu easy the achlo chushla ben arda. There were these goats that ate peeled barley in Narda, says the Rashbam. Sayrim kalufim, v'kaimalun shein muedis hil oilum. We know that you would have to pay nezek shalim even the very first time that an animal does damage. V'chi havi b'rishus hanizik, and if it was in the rishus of the nizik, nezek shalim mishalemus, you pay full damages. They edim ma'achlu ma'at oharbe. The witnesses didn't testify if it ate a lot or a little. So in that case, Asamari Choshla, the owner of the peeled barley came. Tavsinhu grabbed hold of these goats. The Havilan Tayin Tuva, and he was claiming a lot, claiming that these animals ate a tremendous amount. So Amr Avua de Shmuel Yachalitain Ad Kidei Demein. They can only go up until the value of the goats themselves. And the Rashbam says, and they would only be believed b'shvua of a betfei more than the value of the goats. Michti demehem deleka migu lo mehiman el be'edim. So at that point, they would not be believed. Di boy aimer lekuchais hein biyadi, because you could always say it was bought. So therefore, there's no way they could claim more than the worth, because they can say, yeah, they were bought, and therefore I don't have to pay any more. I thought we said there's no chazaka when it comes to gardeners. So what does this mean? So shani easy de mesira lo roya. It's different when it comes to goats because they're given over to a shepherd. And the Rashbam says, "Ve'ein adam yachol haksvehem b'derech." Person doesn't grab onto them on the road. When it comes to goats, because they are in the control of a roya, of a shepherd, so there is a chazaka. V'ha'ika safra panya, but there's different times, says the Rashbam, shahoychin yechidais mebeis abalim, that these goats travel alone, ad beisara, to the shepherd, upanya in the evening, shirua mavin minasa, they brings them from the field, at taichir till the field, v'chol achas halechas ma'atzmo lebeis abalim, they do travel by themselves. Her answers, benarda tayoy shchichi miyada yada mishalme, says the Rashbam. There were these Yishmaelim who are Ganavim that were on the road, and therefore they would actually transfer them from hand to hand, and therefore they actually did not go by themselves, and therefore there would in fact be a chazaka on that. Okay, good. With that said, let's continue. Rabbi Shmuel Omer Shlosh Chadashim B'chul. So our Mishnah said 3 months, a year 3 months, which is 18, or 1 month, 12 months, 1 month, which is 14 months. So which one is it? So Leima near Ikubenayu. The difference must be regarding the din of plowing. There be Shmuel Savar, who says 18 months, near will have a chazaka. Just the plowing, which is a short amount of time, is not a chazaka. Rabbi Kiva Savar near have a chazaka, so therefore it could just be a month. Says the Rashbam, Ella Gamar Peri Hilchach Sark Gimel Chadashim B'Rishayna V'Gimel Bachreina the Bahachi Gadol Pri Kol Tzarcha. That's how much it grows. Yud Beis Chadashim Be'emsa the Be'inan Ritzufin. Rabbi Kiva says that plowing is a chazaka, therefore b'chodesh echad sagi, all you need is 1 month, because it only takes a month to plow. Maybe that's the machlokas, whether near is a chazaka. V'tizbra, Rabbi Kiva, ma'iri chodesh, why does he mention a month as we continue to Lamed Vav Lamed Beis? It doesn't take a month to plow a field, you can do it in a day. So why does he say a day? A month. It has, obviously it's not totally on the machlokas of plowing. El de kuliyam near will have a chazaka, because otherwise it would be just 1 day, 1 year, and 1 day. Difference in big fruits and small fruits. Says the Rashbam, Rabbi Shmuel Svirle don't have a chazaka ad shilochet pera rabba. It has to be like big fruits. The hainu kishenigmer kol atvul. It's completely completed. It takes 3 months. For example, sa'oyrim v'shiboy l'shol v'adashim. So oats, or if we're dealing with barley, or we're dealing with lentils, shigadelim begimel chadashim, that takes 3 months to grow. Rabbi Kiva savar perazuta. It's small fruits. The hainu kigoin shachas shegadu b'shloishim yoyim. Shachas only takes 30 days to grow. Havi chazaka. The alpha pi deloy nigmar hatavua inami kigoin york the gedelim hayirakas b'chodesh echad. So that's what it's just coming to tell us. TA 20. B'man nechor Rabbi Shmuel Rikiva iboy gimel chadashim. Wedding at 3 months, or is it possible just 1 month? So we originally thought it was near, but if it's near, it's plowing, then it's not a month that's necessary. 1 day would have been enough. So therefore, it's inan piraraba sagi bepera zuta. As we just saw, that is the maskana. As the Gemara continues, Tanarbana, near eno chazaka. So plowing a field alone is not enough to create a chazaka. Yishamar har is a chazaka. So man Yishamar, who says actually it does work. So Rav Chisda of Achahi, the Sanya. Nora Shan of Zara base, let's say a person plowed 1 year and then they put seeds in the ground for 2, or for that matter, Nora base Zara Shana, ain't a chazaka, because plowing isn't a chazaka. Rav Acha Eimer Hariz a chazaka, it actually is. Rav Ashi, Shalus Kol Gedoy Ledor. We asked this question. You're really near Hariz a chazaka, and they actually said it does work. Amalei Rabbi Rav Nachman, my time to man near have a chazaka. Why would you say that just plowing is sufficient? Because of it inish the karivu le la'are v'shosik. No one's going to allow someone to just be plowing their field, someone else's field, and not say anything, because that is an indicator that you're doing something that you own the field. So the fact that you allow this shows that you actually are the owner of the field. So my tam de near lo have a chazaka. So why would someone say that plowing is not a chazaka? It sounds like it should be. Because maybe Omar, because he could say like this, Kol Shiva B'Shiva the Karvu I'll obey. Great, let him keep on plowing. The more he does the plowing, I don't care if he plows, that's the hard work. I just don't want him to take any fruits afterwards. So the fact that he's plowing doesn't bother me at all. Shalchle b'nei Pumnar l'Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda. L'Ameinu Rabbeinu, that we learned near have a chazaka, loy have a chazaka. What's the din? So Ravacha b'chol gadol hador. Ami near harizeh chazaka. They actually said that plowing in itself is a chazaka. Rav Nachman, Rabbi Yitzchak, Ravusa l'michshav gavri. Is there any benefit of just mentioning more names? Rabbi Shmuel b'Bava, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Kiva, Eretz Yisrael, Ami near lo have a chazaka. So you're telling me a bunch of people that say that plowing is a chazaka. That doesn't impress me, because I can also mention a bunch of people that plowing is not a chazaka. So Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Kiva, masnisani. So Rav Mahi, who is Rav that also says that plowing doesn't work? Dear Rabbi Yehuda Rav, Zu de Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Akiva, Avachacham Amrim Chaskasa Gimel Shana Miyom Liyoim Miyom Liyoim. So what is that Lamutim? I always come to exclude Lamuti near the low. It must be saying that plowing doesn't work. So Shmuel Mahi, Yom Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shmuel Zudi Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Kiva Avachacham Amrim Ad Sheyigdor Shalosh Gedirais. You actually have to have Shalosh Gedirais V'yivtzar Gimel B'tzirais, and to have 3 harvests of grapes V'yimsai Gimel B'tzikais, and again implying not plowing. So my benayu, so Amar Abaya Dekel Naira Ikabenayu. So let's look in the Rashbam. Dekel Yalda Ubachor. If you have a small tree, the Pachas Gimel Shana B'Shleimus, less than 3 years, To'enes Gimel Pa'amim is able to produce 3 things. So it takes less than 3 years to gather them 3 times. It's enough to be able to just take it 3 times. Even if you didn't have 3 years. The 3 years is not what's important. It's the fact that you harvested 3 different fruits. That's what matters. However, Rabbi in the Gimel Shana Miyom Yom, you actually need to have that amount of time. Rabbeinu Chananel parish Dekel Nara Dekel Hamashir Perois of Kodim Gamra. It just means talking about a tree in which the fruits come off even before it's completed. With Divri Shmuel, the Rabbi Inan Gimel Gedirais, who says you need 3, will have a chazaka, the Halo Gadar, because it didn't actually complete its growth. With Divri Rab, the Rabbi Inan Gimel Shanim, need 3 years. V'harihu maksik bo Gimel Shanim, let's say we're there for 3 years, have a chazaka. It doesn't matter necessarily, even though it didn't grow entirely for those 3 each time. The matter is the amount of time. So it's actually the other way of looking it around. So Lashon Achar Pirish Oid Dekel Naira Dekel Diyafrin Shaisin Pa'amim B'Shana, that it grows 2 times in a year. Therefore, if it does 2 a year, so 1.5 would be 3, and therefore that would be enough. So this is just another interpretation as to how to understand dekel naira ikum naira. So look at question 4. What are the two pirushim of the Rashbam regarding dekel naira? So he says like this: a dekel which is tayin peros gimel pamim bepachs gimel shan. It's able to produce 3 times within 3 years, less than 3 years. So according to Shmuel, it's a chazaka because it's totally on the 3 achilos. Rav requires 3 years. Alternatively, a dekel in which the fruits remain are removed before they're completed. So therefore, according to Rav, it's a chazaka if it happened, it was 3 years, even though let's say it took more than 3 years. But it doesn't matter as long as it's 3 years. However, according to the Shita Shmuel, it's not a chazaka because the leika achilois, because you didn't have 3 complete achilois. So therefore, you can look at it either way. One says 3 achilos, one says 3 years. So one, you could be make or machmer. If you're dealing with fruits that situations where it grows more 3 before the 3 years. So if you hold years, that's not enough. Alternatively, if let's say it takes more than 3 years, those 3 growths. So if you hold years, then it is enough, and then or for the other shita, you'd have to actually wait until it grows, and you're able to harvest 3 different times. Adka.